because it's been a really busy summer in the Premier League, especially in terms of transfers.
Yeah.
And nobody then more than City have really made that transfer busy in the ins and in the outs, the players that they let go, the players that they bought. So quickly, before I ask you if you felt that was needed, this kind of big overhaul and rebuilding of the squads, let's remind everyone that John Stones, Bernardo Silva, Nathan Ake, Manuel Akanji, James Trafford, Nico Gonzalez, Rodri, Tijani Reinders, Savio, Omar Mamouche, and potentially Jack Grealish have left the club for around 400 million euros, let's say.
Yeah.
And in return, City bought Geronimo Rulli, Jeremy Monga, Mathis de Tourbe, who they've loaned out to Monaco, Ayyoub Bouaddi, Elliot Anderson, and Alan will be done, and potentially Enzo Fernandez. So did you expect a summer like that from City?
I didn't expect so many outgoings, in truth. It doesn't really match up when you talk of the bodies that are coming in to how many's left.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bodies left. And I think what strikes me is they've lost a lot of good players, but characters.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of John Stones, the likes of Nathan Ake, Rodri, obviously. I think guys that can manage that dressing room when Maresca probably wants to lean on them that little bit more. So you're seeing about 9 or 10 players leave and only 4 or 5 coming in. Now, there's work to be done, obviously. Enzo Fernandez one is a very interesting signing to me because some of his best work is done as a number 10. He's versatile. He can play as an 8. So Bouaddi, you would imagine, is going to be the 6, unless there's double pivot. But if he plays as a 10, what does that do to Cherky or Phil Foden? So he's going to have to play as an 8, but they definitely need him. So in terms of the overhaul, I sort of seen it coming, but didn't expect that many.
So it was the end of the Guardiola cycle, obviously, after 10 great years. A bit of an aging squad when you think of the age of Bernardo over 30, Stones over 30, Rodri to 30. So in a way, you could say, okay, they wanted to go a bit younger.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to refresh the squad for Maresca or because Maresca was coming. Whether we think Maresca is there for the long term or not, you and I are not too sure. Me neither. And let's see how it does. And we wish him, obviously, good luck for the season. But that needs certainly, despite losing leaders and characters, as you mentioned, Don, to go a bit younger, that was also probably a need.
I think so, mate. I think once you lose, and it's all the Guardiola effect, isn't it? The way he hung on to Rodri for another year and Bernardo Silva. And then what do? You can't go and buy a Rodri, so you have to go down a different route, a different model. You can't really just flick the switch and buy a Bernardo Silva. The characters like John Stones, you're going to lose in Nathan Ake in the dressing room, but they can be replaced, whether you buy experience or youth. So Bouaddi coming in makes sense. At the same time, when you argue with yourself having the conversation, that's a young kid who's been bought in for a lot of money. I know he's got games behind him. He's got a little bit of experience, but he's still a teenager, and you've got to be the new Rodri.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
So if people are going to watch Bouaddi thinking, right, he's just going to step in and do what Rodri does, impossible in the short term. In the medium to long term, of course, you can get there. So they're going to have to fix up and look pretty sharp early on because they were terrible in the Community Shield.
Yeah.
I commentated on the Bournemouth game at the weekend. There was no spark about them. They were lucky to get the win.
Yeah.
It probably looked like they were going to get beat or best case scenario 1-1 draw. So they snuck out of there with a 2-1, which will give them a little bit of a spark going at the next game. But I just wonder what the direction of travel is. On what this Man City team is actually going to look like and how they're going to play and what the philosophy is going to be.
Yeah, and certainly, as we said, we expect the Omar Mamouche deal to Spurs to happen between now and the end of the transfer window.
That's a funny one for me because I've been saying for a long time when they sold Julian Alvarez, you're leaving Erling Haaland as your only number 9. Yeah. Now if Mamouche goes, and God forbid Haaland ever gets injured, they are knackered.
So that you expect more incomings then? So they've already, if you add a potential Enzo Fernandez transfer around 120 million, let's say, they pretty much have spent what they've earned with all those sales that we mentioned, around 400 million euros. If you add up Bouaddi, Anderson, potentially Enzo and Alan, you already are 400,
so
very close.
Do you need to sell Mamouche then? For what, 50, 60 million? Are you not just worth keeping him?
Yeah.
Just in case Haaland never got injured?
Unless you go and sign somebody like Gakpo who can play as a backup 9 and also wide, although I don't think he's a City or a Maresca player for positional
It's a funny one because the market's sort of suggesting that, the elite players that Man City want to buy, they're too much money.
Yeah.
The Kylians of this world and the Harry Kanes of this money, they're 100, 150 million quid. Unless you've done a deal for someone like Ollie Watkins before he went to Al Hilal and asked him to be as a backup number 9. That's a difficult topic because he's obviously going there for the money. So unless, I mean, personally, if I was in Man City shoes and I'm looking at thinking, right, what's the market looking like to bring a backup striker in?
Yeah.
Don't sell Marmoush. Ask him to do one more
agree.
year.
Yeah.
I don't know if
No,
you
I
agree.
agree. Yeah, I agree. I found the Marmoush deal a bit, not that he was amazing for them, but there's a good player there as a backup. Certainly, he can play some of the cup games to give Haaland some rest. It seems like they're looking for another winger too, on top of Alan, so the Brazilian who's coming from Palmeiras, who's really interesting because he almost defends as much as he attacks. He's that kind of hard-working, so I think that could fit well.
Yeah.
Iliman Ndiaye is a name that I think they like.
Great player.
As well as Gakpo. I'm surprised Ndiaye hasn't gone to Everton is a massive club, but gone to a top 6 club.
Another level.
So this could happen, but again, this is £80 million.
And
That's a lot of
they've
money.
still got Semenyo and Doku.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm Liverpool and I'm hearing that they're interested in Gakpo, I say give us Doku then.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to happen. But what I'm saying is,
they need backups to Doku and Semenyo, who should be the 2 starters.
But why should Liverpool fund Man City?
Absolutely.
Why should they strengthen a rival by selling Gakpo?
I think they need the Gakpo money to do Barcola, who we'll talk about in a bit.
Right.
But I think there's also those kind of moving pieces,
the jigsaws,
into this massive transfer window jigsaw.
Yeah.
Right, mate. Let's go into a bit more into this because this is like a discussion that I think a lot of City fans will have, like us.
It's a good pub discussion, isn't it?
Exactly. Perfect. Before looking at if this squad is better than the last one, and it'd be hard anyway. The last one won everything, and the longevity, everything. But if you were Maresca and you were getting the team ready for this weekend or like a weekend when everybody's fit and you've got all the options, all the players
for
available.
A big game.
Yeah, for a big game.
Yeah.
What would be your starting line? Where would you think about for a starting lineup?
I'm looking at now, and I'm thinking obviously Donnarumma in goal. It's Nunes or Kusanov at right back, so you've got 2 options there.
Yeah.
Diaz, Guehi, your centre backs. Vardiol at left back or O'Reilly. So you've got competition. O'Reilly's versatile, so is Vardiol. So the back line's not really a problem. Midfield's interesting. Bouaddi 6, Enzo and Elliot Anderson.
Yeah.
And then Haaland 9, Doku Semenyo. The problem with that is Foden's on the bench, Cherki's on the bench, Kovacic is on the bench, Aït-Nouri's on the bench, Rico Lewis is on the bench.
Yeah.
And Phil Foden does not want to spend another season on the bench.
No. And we'll talk about Foden and Cherki in a bit. I think, and we again assume that Enzo Fernandez deal will happen. We think that the talks are really positive so far, that we see this one happening. From what we know, if it doesn't happen, obviously you can replace him with somebody else. You could slightly play differently. But let's say that Enzo is a City player.
Yeah.
I think on paper, this team looks great.
Good.
You've got different options, different profiles, some versatility, some who complement each other quite well. I think the Bouaddi, Enzo, Anderson midfield could be a really good midfield. I mean, when you spend that kind of money, £350 million on 3 midfielders, you hope that midfield will be solid, right?
Definitely.
And efficient and coherent and works well.
But I think Foden and Cherki have to be in a Man City team. With the players they've got in the system that they've played and the wingers that they've got in Semenyo and Doku, how'd you get them in?
Yeah. So we know that wingers are very important for Maresca.
Yeah.
Remember at Chelsea, that was the case. In all the positional play,
they seem to be now the prime players all around the world.
All around the world.
Wingers.
But so then, you're right. Does that take away some of the focus on your 10? So for me, it's Cherki or Foden. You could play one of them wide if you wanted. But
and he tried that at the weekend against Bournemouth.
Phil Foden, not for long,
Foden played on the right wing. Never suited him.
I know.
And I thought the fix was Cherki put him in 10. Ask him and Phil Foden to get close together.
So you think they can play together?
I think they can play together. It's not ideal for Phil Foden when he was on the right hand side, but you can play it because you can get your right back if it's Nunes or Kusanov to try and bomb on the outside, so you can get a little bit of width. They didn't really have it in the Bournemouth game because Foden was trying to stay there, but trying to drift all over the place, and the fullback they just couldn't get high enough up the pitch on that right hand side. But I think if you ask Phil Foden to play right side with a little bit of sort of the mentality, if you're going to be inverted when we've got the ball, you can get Cherki as the number 10, and you're all closer to Haaland. But that knocks Semenyo and Doku as wide players at the team, and just looks a little bit sort of lopsided. It's all right putting them in and go on play, but you can't ask Doku to be a sort of inverted player. He's a winger. Semenyo, we've seen, can play as a sort of number 9. Every now and again he can play that role, but he's predominantly a winger. So it depends on how you see it. If you're someone like me and I think it poses problems, then that's the way I look at it. If you're a Man City fan and you look at the team and the subs, you go, well, that's really good.
It's a good squad. It's a really good squad, I think. Apart from, maybe the backup to Haaland, like we said, but let's say he's fit and stays fit. I think this is a really good squad. The problem I have is that Enzo Maresca, who, by the way, has known since March he would take over Guardiola.
Yeah.
City have known since March he would take over Guardiola.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the players knew he was coming. And yet when I hear him after the Bournemouth game saying like, I don't know what my best team is.
That's not
I
a
don't
good
know what
look.
my starting lineup is. I'm like, hang on a minute.
I mean, you'd be sitting on the beach doing what we're doing now,
Exactly.
sketching out what your team's going to look like.
I know. And how come we are like end of August? And I know some of those new players have been late arrivals, Bouaddi especially, but for the rest,
That's a worry.
exactly.
It was a worry the way he rocked up dressing like Guardiola at the weekend in a suit and a little blue T-shirt. That weren't a
We
good look,
didn't
was
like
it?
that, did we? And even all that business with Shecky at the end, like what, Prime Guardiola would do with
Definitely.
his players, some of the opposition players of Maresca is no Guardiola.
No, and Foden, when he got took off, weren't happy. He went straight down the bench, straight down the tunnel.
Yeah.
So there's little problems that he needs to iron out. The biggest problem that I see is you need to find your formation, your philosophy, and put all the pieces in the right places.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play Foden on the right hand side, that's not what you see. Don't play him
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I agree.
Don't
Don't
put
try
Ryan,
to shoehorn players.
exactly. Don't put Cherky out on the left hand side because you want to get him in the 11. Play them in the best positions.
What's a good season for City for you?
They have to compete for the title. I don't think they will, but they have to compete and show that they're close because then you can progress next year. If they finish second or third, done well in the Champions League and won a domestic trophy, Guardiola's always been quite heavy on the domestic trophies. He's shown those trophies lots of respect. So I think, in my opinion, if they ran Arsenal pretty close and finished, I don't know, 5 points behind, let's say, won a domestic trophy and finished in the Champions League spots, first season for Maresca, I don't think that's too bad.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with you. I don't think they finished second though. I think
I've got
too
Chelsea.
many-
I've got Chelsea
me
finishing
too,
second.
And I think they have too many issues. So that's what you think is a good season for them.
I think so.
What do you think their season will look like? Do you think they might struggle at times? Do you think Maresca will take a long time to get this team clicking, to find the right formula?
I think all of that. I think he will find or will take his time. Young players like Bouaddi are going to take a little bit of time. Elliot Anderson's going to take time.
Yeah.
Because the Community Shield, again, talking about putting players in different positions, you played him sort of on the right-hand
weird,
side.
yeah.
Where
It didn't work.
all Elliot Anderson, the majority of things that he does in Nottingham Forest is having a million touches on the ball.
Yeah.
So play him centrally. So that never worked. How I see it panning out, I think they'll finish third behind Chelsea. I think they are stacked at the top end of the pitch and looking good. I do think they might win a domestic trophy.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of people have been quite pessimistic, thinking they won't be out the top four. Well, our coefficient is pretty strong, so it'll be 5.
Yeah.
I can't see. Can you finish at the top 5?
I agree with you. I think you're right. Pessimistic is a good word. I think a lot of people have written them off already.
I think it's because, and it's natural because, right, we've lost potentially the best manager that's ever lived in Guardiola. Right? We've lost him, genius. And then you lose Rodri, genius. And you lose Bernardo Silva. And then you lose guys like Nathan Ake.
Yeah, great
and
squad
John
members.
Stones.
Yeah,
Great squad players. And then that's where I think our pessimism comes from because you're going away from what Guardiola's built for the last 7 or 8 years, 9 years. So it's natural to be pessimistic. But I think when you take a deep dive into it and you look at the personnel they've still got, it's still very impressive.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they've got Haaland.
Yeah, exactly.
Stays fit. He's going to bang them towards Champions League football, sure.
Yeah, he should. I do wonder how difficult, maybe it's even mission impossible to come after Guardiola.
Oh.
And the void that he would have left.
Oh, yeah.
To fill not even just the style of football.
It's the intensity. I mean, you've probably been like me. You've probably been sort of binge watching or seen it on social media. Some of the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like he's standing there, Guardiola, like crying in his team talks. How much he loves his players and his personal life. That's very unusual for managers to go. But that's the way Pep is. He's very emotional.
Yeah.
So as a player, you're going to give your all for him. You see your manager crying, delivering a team talk because he's struggling with his personal life. You are going to run for him.
Do you think one of the biggest risk for Maresca is to try to be too much like Pep? And we said on a jokey way how he was dressed for that Bournemouth game.
Got to be your own man.
But
I think you have to be your own man.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go in there and try and dress like Pep or do little mannerisms like getting players after a game in front of the cameras and it's not. And it might have been genuine, it might have been, but it's very much a Guardiola trait, isn't it? I would like to think that Maresca can be his own man and should be his own man.
Well, let's see. The second game in the league is on Friday night. So if you listen to this before that, we might get a bit of an answer already on what Maresca is going to try to do for that second game of the season.